Hey everyone, welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling, episode 16 with myself, Denise Salcedo. It is the January 13th edition, and we have a lot of wrestling to talk about here tonight. We had AEW's New Year Smash Night 2, and we also had the first round matches of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So we do have plenty of to get into here tonight, and I'm excited to be back here once again. As a friendly reminder to all of you guys that come in here each and every single week, I want to thank you guys so much for being part of the show always. Plus, I do want to remind you that this is a very interactive show. So as we go through each and every single match, or at least the biggest highlights of the night, go ahead and send in your thoughts of everything that you thought about what happened here tonight. Also, I do want to let you guys know if you want to get your comment read here on the air and you're like, I really need Denise to read this message, I need her to see it, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat at any point throughout this show, and it is greatly appreciated. As most of you guys know, F4W does let me keep 100% of the proceeds from super chats after YouTube takes its appropriate cut, as you all know. And hey, we got started off already. First of all, I do want to welcome our new member, Portable Stove, who became a new YouTube member here on F4W Online. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. You can become a member. There is so much content for you to check out here as well. And then we do have a comment from Matthew Makovsky, who is a regular on here, sends in a super chat actually, and he says he will watch later because he hasn't watched Dynamite today. Well, you know what? No worries, Matthew. Thank you so much for sending in the super chat. I don't want to spoil the show for you if you haven't seen it at all yet here today, but we do have a lot of nice comments here. First of all, we have Sean in here who thought that both shows tonight were pretty excellent. I thought today's shows were I wouldn't say they were the best shows that I've seen, but I did think that both shows were pretty okay. I thought they had some good moments, and we'll talk about those obviously as we get on with the show. But I do think the shows were just okay today. There were some good moments, and we will talk about those. We do have a comment from New Punk Rants who says, thank you again for liking my Brody Lee tribute art piece. Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much for tagging me in that. That was a really nice tribute piece that you did. He said it audibly yelped. No. Oh, and speaking of Brody Lee, I am excited to say that I am wearing my, you could probably barely see it, but I finally got my t-shirt in here. So I'm wearing the dog collar match t-shirt. And, it was a pretty cool way, they were doing a Pro Wrestling Tees and AEW shop. They were giving, obviously the money from the sales of the t-shirts to Brody Lee's family. So, I don't know what the details on that are right now, but I did go ahead and get my t-shirt and, just kind of help out just a little bit here. We have a comment from WrestleScope who says NXT was really good and have to watch the replay of AEW. Interesting. Danny says, hello. I still consider myself a new viewer to your shows. Doesn't matter. You are still welcome. He says, I think you're awesome at what you do. Keep up the hard work. PS 1989 classic album. I really appreciate it, guys, especially when we have new viewers. I know we have viewers that, listen to the audio version of this, or we have viewers that watch on the replay. So it really makes me excited whether or not you watch live or you watch the video or the audio version of this show. So we do have a lot to get into here today. So let's start off with AEW. Again, it was the New Year Smash Night 2, and there is plenty to talk about here today. Let's kick it off with the opening match, though. Eddie Kingston versus Pac. As I get into this, send in your thoughts. I want to know what you guys all thought about this, but I kind of have maybe some controversial takes on this one. I mean, it wouldn't be the show if I didn't have some sort of controversial take, although it might not be that controversial, but this is what I have to say. I honestly think that Pac outshined Eddie Kingston in this match. I really do think that Pac was the star in this match. Last week, when I was talking about Damian Priest and Karrion Kross on NXT, I mentioned a lot about how Karrion Kross, he has all the star power, all of this, right? But Damian Priest was really the one that really put forth that match for me. That is exactly how I felt about this match this week, Eddie Kingston versus Pac. We all know that Eddie Kingston is bomb when it comes to the mic. We know that he has that star power, that persona, exactly like a Karrion Kross type. But I do have to say that Pac for me was the one that drove this match. Anytime he was the one, putting on the attack on Eddie Kingston, that's when I thought that this match was hitting its high moments. I mean, he came in looking sharp. And I do have to say that I know I don't know how you guys must have felt, whether or not you wanted to see Pac win tonight or whether or not you wanted to see Eddie Kingston win tonight. But I do think that having Pac win this match was the right call because, we went such a long time without seeing Pac. We went quite a while. So the fact that, he's back, he's starting to get that ball rolling again. I love the fact that they're reestablishing Pac, and he came across today as the aggressor. He was an aggressor here tonight. And so I really do think that it was such a good call to have Pac win this match, especially because I do think that down the line, he will be facing Kenny Omega for that title, or who I'm hoping that is the direction that they're going in, so that if they do get there, matches like this, and I hope he continues to have matches like this, will keep building him up as a stronger opponent when he gets to that Kenny Omega title spot. So what did you guys all think about this? Again, I really liked all of this. The ending, when he hit the black arrow, I do have to say I was a little bit nervous though, because he kind of took a while to get his footing, and I kind of was stressed for like a little tiny of a millisecond there. But overall, I loved what he brought here today. So we do have a super chat from Dagon S. Broad. Thank you so much to Dagon. He says, "Hi Denise, just showing some support. Keep being awesome. Hashtag Denisemania 2021. Thank you so much, Dagon S. Broad, first of all, for sending in a super chat, and then also for complimenting me. So what did you guys all think in regards to Eddie Kingston and Pac? Are you guys feeling the same way I am, or are you guys on the totally opposite end here? So let's start off with Billy Langan. Billy says, Eddie Kingston and Pac was good. Not great. They can have better matches. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this match was good when it was really Pac that was sort of, leading the charge here. EJ Lopez says Pac superplex to Kingston was intense. Indeed, it was. Jake Larson says that my opinion is not controversial. Pac can carry almost every match. Man, here I was trying to have a controversial take. Jake Larson. No, but seriously, I completely agree with you on that. Christian Ramos says Pac should be next in line for Omega's title, even if he loses it. Will be a barn burner for Beach Break. Forsaken Production says Pac is an amazing talent. Since turning heel way back as the king of the cruiserweights, he has been unstoppable. And I have to say this, though. As much as like all of the great things that I have been saying about Pac, it did take me a while. He was one of those guys. I think everybody has that guy that it takes you a while for you to become a fan of that person. It took me a while to become a fan of his. So honestly, I think that just recently when he's, sort of this like resurgence of Pac is when I feel that I've become more invested in his work. So we do have a comment from Tanol that I want to read. He says, I like that Pac showed more of the hard-hitting side of his game compared to the technical side that he usually shows. Yeah, I agree with that as well. He says, and the top row black arrow is still pretty to look at. Dude, I think it always is pretty to look at. But I like the fact that you pointed out that we were seeing a more hard-hitting style of him, because I said he was the aggressor in this match, and I do think that came through very well. So I totally feel you on this one. Matt's Waffle says Pac is great as always, just don't care for the faction with the Lucha Bros, too complicated and have no idea what they're doing with Lance Archer. So that Lance Archer thing, I'm a fan of. Maybe not like a big fan of it, but I like the way that it's been something that they've been teasing for the last several weeks. They've had these face-offs. It all started when they were both going after Eddie Kingston. Okay, well now Pac has gotten his turn. Lance Archer and him still have that tension between them. So I'm actually a fan of this whole Lance Archer Pac situation, and I do want to kind of see them go at it. So I like where they're going with this. In terms of what he's doing, Pac with the Lucha Brothers, I like that as well. It gives the Lucha Brothers something to do instead of just, being in the shadows. They haven't necessarily been pushed to their peak. They haven't necessarily had that, that it spot on the roster as tag team, as a tag team. So I do like them paired up with Pac. So I'm not against that whatsoever. Josh O says, Pac always seems so steady right before the black arrow. I think it's just how he looks when he's super focused. Yeah, you're probably right, Josh O, but this was really the first time that I personally noticed it. So I was like, I don't know why it was like such a little tiny thing that I noticed. But overall, that was my thoughts on Eddie Kingston versus Pac. And I kind of feel like nobody was totally against that. So it is interesting to see that we all were sort of on the same page with that. So moving on, we had match number 2, which was Miro versus Chuck Taylor. So first of all, I have to say that I feel that this storyline has been a slow burn for me. It's been something that's been treading waters for a while, and I don't necessarily think that I haven't really been interested in this. This hasn't really interested me whatsoever. It hasn't really sizzled for me, if that makes any sense at all. It's not one of those things about when I know that I'm going in to watch AEW Dynamite, it's not something that I necessarily get excited for. I'm just like, all right, cool, they're doing this. All right. But it hasn't actually really piqued my interest. But the fact that we did get to see Miro versus Chuck Taylor today, I liked that because I feel like these are two guys that we rarely get to see in singles action. So the fact that we did get that here today, I was a fan of that. And I also have to say that Miro, Miro's that guy that everybody's talked about, that the fact that, he came into AEW, he came into with this momentum, given the fact that WWE had released him, but he never actually had that big moment in AEW. He sort of, he was put in as the best man, kind of forgotten, but anytime that Miro gets an opportunity, whether it be a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, whatever length of time that he gets to sort of showcase himself, he always comes across as very, very impactful. And there's been so many times when we're watching Miro where I'm like, man, like this guy, the second that, the ball is in his court, oh man, they're going to do such great stuff with Miro. And I'm a fan of Miro, and I'm a fan of what I saw here today. I think today was nothing different of what we've been seeing, those glimpses that we've been seeing or getting of him on AEW. So whenever he gets the chance, he does come across as very impressive. So Miro did win this match. He needed this win. It was perfectly fine. It was an okay match. And yeah, okay, so we have a comment here from Sam B, who agrees, says Miro is losing his shine by being paired with Kip. Like I said, it's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm so invested in this storyline, in this, best man. I was going to say best friend. In this best man storyline, I'm not interested. But I do think that even though Miro necessarily isn't one of the top guys, he's not on the Kenny Omega level, I do think that when he does get an opportunity to showcase himself, he does very well for himself. And Joseph Boza says, it's been slow for me too. It's like Miro is just a sidekick as we wait for the wedding of Kip and Penelope. I feel like the wedding is taking forever. I know we officially have the date and all, but I feel like it's been a very long time to get to it. Joseph Boza also says, it's obvious to me Orange will get involved. All weddings in wrestling don't go off smooth. Billy Langan says, I'm personally not a fan of the whole you're my servant now. Christian Ramos says, Chuck got too much offense and it should have been a squash match in my personal opinion. I wouldn't have minded that either, to be honest. I don't think I would be totally against that because, like I said, Miro is everybody's like on a different level, and I would put Miro a level above Chuck Taylor as well. And Jake Larson says, Denise, you always talk about levels of stardom where they slot in wrestlers. Do you think he is slotted too low here? Miro, if you're talking about Miro, I 100% think that he has been slotted too low here. I think that the momentum that Miro had coming off of the WWE, release, that was a big story. When all the releases were happening in WWE, everybody was talking about them. And Miro was one of those guys, Rusev then, was one of those guys that you weren't necessarily expecting. I know that I was shocked when I saw that Rusev had been released. So the fact that they did, he went to AEW, but I don't really think we had that big moment. I think they could have ridden that wave a lot longer. That momentum that he was having, they could have ridden it definitely a lot longer. And I don't think that they necessarily took the full opportunity in all of that. And Tano actually says, unfortunately, I disagree with your Denise take about Miro in this match. It couldn't hold my interest, and I wasn't catching up on what others were saying on Twitter during the match. Oh, Tano was paying attention on Twitter instead. See, I can't blame you for that because I do have those moments. For me, it does take certain, if you don't have my interest, that's not good. And I think we all have those moments where you're like, okay, I'm not interested in this whatsoever. I'm going to head to my phone. This one wasn't that for me. This match was fine. It was perfectly fine. Anybody else have any? Okay, I'm getting so many comments on this. Chris Cage 2X says, With Trent out with an injury, this Butler thing for Chuck will give him something to do. Again, I think everything that they're doing with all of these guys personally hasn't piqued my interest. So I'm kind of like, oof, on this one. I'm out, guys. I'm out. But D-Train Ryan Maker says it's nice to see Miro beat someone fairly quickly, but the storyline sucks, period. Yeah, see, there's always pros and cons in everything, guys. Always pros and cons. And before we continue on with the rest of AEW Dynamite, I do want to remind you guys all not to forget to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. I am almost at 14K on Twitter, and I'm very proud of that. It's very sad how much I care about numbers, but what can I say? Either way, do not forget to go ahead and check me out on those social media platforms. But we'll go ahead and continue on because after the Miro Chuck Taylor match, we did get the Inner Circle coming out to share their New Year's resolutions. And this segment, to me, it wasn't a hit, but it wasn't a total miss here. So I'm very interested to see what your guys' thoughts is on this. So they're all, saying their New Year's resolutions. MJF says that fat people need to go. I thought that was pretty funny, that he wants to strengthen the bond between all of them. That was pretty funny as well. Nothing less of what I would expect from MJF. Sammy also calls, and then so they all had like their little like things, right? But there were some key moments in this where I was like, what is happening here? What are we doing? And one of them was when Sammy calls Jericho a tag team slut. Yes, a tag team slut, a TTS. That's what I'm calling it, a TTS, because I hate saying this word, but whatever. Tag team slut it is, which was kind of funny if you think about it. But he basically tells Jericho that he's always teaming with a bunch of different people, etc. Jericho starts saying that they're really sexy. I don't know where he's going with this, saying they're really sexy and that they just need to let out some tension. And so he ends up booking this match for next week, which is going to be a 3-way tag team match. MJF will be teaming up with Jericho. Santana and Ortiz will be teaming up with one another. And then Sammy and Jake Hager will be teaming up with one another. And they all agree to face each other in a very peaceful way. I think they do like something in the end where Santana tells MJF, I think he tells MJF, why is your hand darker than your face? Was that to MJF? One of you guys might want to correct me on this one. But either way, this was not a hit for me, but it also wasn't a miss. We got a match out of it, so it wasn't a total waste of time. Ralph Segismundo says, the Inner Circle segment confused me because Santana and Ortiz was initially the tag team of the group. Exactly. They are like the legitimate tag team of the group. And don't even get me started on this whole Santana and Ortiz things. I'm starting to sound like a broken record with them, but I am hoping that we get a good match out of this. But I would like to see, I don't know who's going to win this match, but I would like to see Santana and Ortiz pick up a win. Why not? They deserve an edge in the group. The spotlight has been on MJF and Jericho this entire time. And when the spotlight's not on them, it's on Sammy. And when it's not on him, you get, lately it's been on Wardlow and Hager. Okay, so when do we get a moment for Santana and Ortiz to shine? Okay, so that's where I'm hoping that this goes. Shadow Crip says, I followed this Inner Circle thing pretty clearly. Yeah, seriously. And then X2 Band's YouTube account. I do not tolerate those kind of comments here on my YouTube channel. And I am not abroad. My name is Denise Salcedo, and I will not get off your screen. I will be here for quite some time. So yeah, I'm not going to ban you, dude, but I'm giving you a fair warning. All right, Joseph Boza says, the Inner Circle was just there. I agree, Denise. Its purpose was to set up the Inner Circle triple threat that I think will be a big joke. Finger poker. You think it's going to be a joke match? I hope not. I hope it's not a joke match. I really do hope that it's actually a pretty good match. I really do hope so. We have a comment from Zane Miller who says, I thought it was so weirdly rushed for them to start fighting again after just being happy with each other. Santana and Ortiz should be premier tag team. Good Lord, Sammy was right. Sammy was right on this, I think. I 100% agree. Fuego Sucks says, this is 100% to set up Santana and Ortiz who have been in the shadows. I hope you're right, Fuego, because I do think that they definitely need to set them up to have a lot more stock in the Inner Circle. Have a lot more stock. And Chris Cage 2X says it's a weak Inner Circle segment to build up a triple threat tag team match with Inner Circle members only. Alrighty, everyone. Let's move on because oh my God. This is it. This was my favorite part of the night. This was my favorite part of the night. I think you guys can guess it. Okay, so after this, we had a segment with the Dark Order. They're backstage and they're being interviewed. And basically, they say that they want Hangman, that Hangman will team with Dark Order. I believe they said next week. Yes, next week. And then Hangman Page comes and they're asking him, hey, are you going to join? And he promises that he's going to tell them next week, that he'll let them know next week. But during all of this, Silver was what you call fanboying the hell out of Hangman Page. I loved this so freaking much. I popped for this because I thought it was hilarious. First of all, I love Silver's comedic personality. Whatever, he's those guys that doesn't have to try to be funny, and he's a different type of funny from MJF funny. He's not MJF funny. He's a different type of funny that it's almost like it's endearing type of funny, So I love what Silver, the relationship that he had with Brody Lee. We all love that, obviously. And now we're sort of getting this new thing with, based on tonight, the sort of glimpse with him and Hangman Page. I thought this was funny as hell. I popped for this. This was my favorite part of the night, guys. It was literally the thing that made me laugh so hard and just made me really excited about what they're going to do in the future with Dark Order, with Hangman Page, with just everybody involved in that. So what did you guys all think about this? Our Rig says Silver is comedy gold. Dude, he really is. Oh my God. Like when I started watching Being the Elite, he was the one that I think made me like it that much more. Like, I was like, okay, I would watch certain episodes, but I don't think I was religiously watching. But once, Silver started doing all of this funny stuff on there, that's when I started being like a little bit more like, hey, I kind of want to see what's happening each and every single week. We have a comment from the Mad Dog stuff who says, Hangman still being there at the end made me laugh. He was so chill. Dude, he was just like there. I think he had a drink in his hand. I didn't even notice if he did or not, but he was just like happy chill there. He almost gave me like Matt Riddle vibes, but not Matt Riddle vibes. MCaps P-Dove 64 says Silver is goofy funny, MJF is serious funny. Thank you. I think you're on to something there. Yeah, Silver reminds me more of like the Kurt Angle type of funny, like where you laugh with him because he's laughing at himself, sort of. Yeah, I think of that, or like a Hurricane Helms type, even something like that. So I do see that as well. Josh O says, will Dark Order turn babyface and align with Hangman since the passing of Brody Lee? I think so, and I think that's the direction that they're going in. So that kind of feels like where they're headed. And we have a comment from Matt's Waffles that says, I hated Silver when Dynamite / Dark Order started, but now I love the guy. Dude, I mean, I never hated him, but I just like him. I really do. I don't think I've ever not liked him. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and move on. Seriously, though, that was my favorite moment of the evening. And we're going to move on to, okay, this was the next thing that I was not expecting to happen. So we had Kenny Omega, and this was supposed to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but it ended up being Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Brian Pillman Jr., Danny Limelight, and Griff Garrison. So we have a lot to unpack here. So first of all, they start off backstage, so that they're going the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega route as promised. But then afterwards, Kenny Omega comes out. He has his grand entrance as always. But then Don Callis takes over the announcing, and he basically says, the band is back together, and he's really pushing the fact that the band is back together. But then instead of announcing the Young Bucks, he announces the Good Brothers. So they come out, and then there's a shot backstage with Tony Khan and the Young Bucks looking on at the monitor, and they're kind of like looking like upset, confused, and then they leave like, scorned lovers or whatever. So how did you guys feel about all of this? because from what we saw last week to what we got today, it was a total shift. To me, it was honestly, it was kind of a surprise. I didn't expect this. I didn't like it, and I didn't love it either. So I didn't like it because I kind of felt it made the Young Bucks look a little dumb, like not very smart baby faces, So they didn't look that great today. But at the same time, I liked it because it was a swerve that I didn't see coming. I didn't see this coming again. And it gives Kenny Omega this very a-holy type of, heel. Like, I don't care. I'm a star. I'm going to pick who I think is, the people that should be aligned with me. That's the sort of vibe that I got from, him essentially choosing the Good Brothers to come out with him instead of the Young Bucks. So I didn't like it for the sense of the Young Bucks, but then I did like it in the sense for Kenny Omega, if that makes any sense at all. So how did you guys feel about this? And then we're going to kind of go ahead and talk about the actual match. So, so I didn't see it coming, but Ralph Segismundo saw it coming. As Zane Miller says, Brian said on Wrestling Observer Live that Nick is injured. Good Brothers replacement was a great idea to not kill the match. In that sense, yes. In that sense, I do get that. And then, all right. D-Train Riot Maker says, I told everyone to hold the brakes. How do you hold the brakes, though, when they were literally, it was the closing ending of the show, though. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see where this swerve is definitely going to go. Which direction are they heading in here? Matt Waffle says, I already read that one. Sorry. Oops, my bad. I almost read the same comment twice. I'm not going to act like that hasn't happened to me before. Shadow Crip says, wait, you weren't expecting the Good Brothers to be in the match? For a second? No, I wasn't. I was out. I was out of the loop. So Shadow Crip says, you're the only one that didn't see it coming, Denise. Man, that makes me really lame then, right? Makes me really lame. All right, I'll take it. I'm really lame. Forsaken Production says, as soon as Don Callis took the mic, I knew the Good Brothers were coming, although I'm a bit confused as to why they turned on the Bucks so quickly. I guess they'll explain that later. God, I hate that everybody saw it coming except me. Now I just feel like I feel dumb. Oh, man. Matt's Waffle says, it was kind of obvious that Kenny would be doing a switcheroo and pairing with the Good Brothers. Bucks were never mentioned ever in promos, but I'm sad that they're already feuding with the Bucks. And Patrick Della Penna says, I actually like the idea in where this story is going. Yeah, I am too, guys. I really am too. I think that, again, maybe besides, clearly you guys all saw it coming, but I didn't. So, all right, I'm not going to keep burying myself here. Let's move. Okay, wait, I have more to say. I have more to say on this match. All right, so the match itself, I thought was pretty fun. I thought this was a fun match. I thought it was going to be a quick squash. Let's kill these guys, whatever. That's what I thought, but that did not happen. I thought it was a really, for what it was a perfectly fine match. And I have to take a second to put over Danny Limelight, because Danny Limelight got this, amazing opportunity to be on AEW Dynamite literally in this match. And he literally took those, couple moments that he had in this match. He really took that and shined. He really shined in this match. He was quick. He was fast paced. He was, everything that he did was clean. He hung in there with all the guys, brought a lot of energy. I mean, honestly, I think that Danny Limelight really proved himself here tonight. And I did an interview with him 6 months ago on my channel, and I had, obviously seen him in the indies here in Southern California. So I already knew the type of style that he worked. I've had seen several of his matches. We worked a lot of shows together because I did a lot of ring announcing work, and he was on a lot of those cards. And so I already knew him based on that. I already knew that he could go, but seeing it, on television is always a different, it's a different thing. So I do think that he really showcased himself here today. So I do have to take a second to kind of say awesome sauce there. We do have some comments in regards to Danny Limelight. So I'll kind of go ahead and see what you guys thought here. Julian Bravo says Danny Limelight looked like Trey kept trying to see his face. Okay. No, I thought he did good. Zane Miller says Danny Limelight was awesome. He's really good on Dark too. And Jake Larson wants to know, where do the Lucha Brothers and Moxley fit in though? That's the confusing part to me. And then Joseph Boza says, it felt like a promotional touch for Impact's Hard to Kill on Saturday with a 6-man tag where they will meet Rich Swann and Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah, cheap plug, guys, but seriously, Hard to Kill this Saturday, January 16th. If you go on my Twitter account, I do have a contest on there. Somewhere in there, I have a tweet where if you retweet, comment, and follow me, you might have an opportunity to watch Hard to Kill for free. So you might want to check that out. But in regards to what we were talking about, though, after the match, we did see Moxley came out. So Moxley comes out and so the Elite won, and that's obviously what they're going as, the Elite. So they win, nice, good match. Moxley then comes out, but then afterwards they're getting into, the scuffle, but then afterwards, like, everybody comes out, guys. Everybody comes out. The Bucks come out. The Lucha Brothers come out. The Lucha Brothers super kick the Young Bucks. Then everybody brawls. I'm not going to lie to you. I lost track of everything that happened afterwards. That is one of the things that I have said on the show, and I will say it again. There is too much of this post-show melees, post-show shenanigans after every single match on AEW. That is one thing that I'm like, okay, it's happening now each and every single match. I do think there needs to be a little less of that, just a tad bit less than that. It is starting to be a little bit too much, especially it was very noticeable and it continued throughout the entire show. But overall, like I said, good stuff, good showcase for Danny Limelight, and interesting to see where they're going to go with this Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Good Brothers situation. And I'm going to go ahead and read a couple of more of your comments as we go through this. And Ryan Hoover says, hey girl, can't wait for this Friday podcast with Luke. Ryan, I'm so sorry. There's going to be no podcast this week. Don't blame me. Please blame Luke. He's the one that works the schedule. I just show up. But we will be back next week, though. So sorry. I feel so bad, guys. I feel so bad. And all right, let me check out the rest of your comment here. Steve Wrestling Fan says, Danny Limelight is the real deal. Michael Hellman says, I liked the match, but I think Rich Swann and Motor City Machine Gun should have come out and brawled with Omega and Good Brothers to promote Hard to Kill. Yeah, Michael, I think you're definitely that would have been a bad idea whatsoever and would have made sense. Tanol says, I hope with the face-offs between Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks as well as the Good Brothers, that means that they're going to be featured more heavily in the coming weeks and months. I like the fact that you added La Lucha Brothers. That's hilarious. All right. And Julian Bravo says the Lucha Brothers did the right thing by knocking Nick and Matt's heads off. Yeah. Okay. Good job. Alrighty. And let's move on. So after this, okay, guys. After this, if you liked this next segment, you are not going to like me today. I'm not going to be your friend on this one. You guys are going to hate me. I'm going to get hate comments. People are going to be like, get this broad off, replace her. All the comments that I get from people. This is going to be the segment that I was not a fan of this, guys. I was completely out. Zero interest. And I mean zero interest in this next whole deal. So we had Britt Baker's The Waiting Room, and this was the first time, obviously, the grand debut. This was terrible, in my opinion. It was not good. I'm sorry. So we had Britt Baker come out, and, she's introducing her show, and just Reba on the, with her as well. And she introduces Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out as the special guest. Cody Rhodes doesn't get a word in. And then afterwards, Britt Baker then says that she has another guest, and it's Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill comes out, gets in Cody Rhodes' face, and starts telling him that she wants a match, she wants a competition, that she's going to beat Brandy when she comes back, that she should watch her because she's a better mom, something like that. I mean, they went at it there for a bit. I think she even shoved Cody at some point. But then afterwards, we had Red Velvet come out. Red Velvet, who was attacked a couple weeks before. I don't even know why she was attacked, so I completely missed that whole ordeal. But after this, when Red Velvet comes out afterwards, this ends up being like a brawl. Like everybody and their mothers comes out and they start to tear these two girls apart. Then they get separated, and then out of nowhere there is a replay video of what happened with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa up on the Titantron, and then out of nowhere that cuts to a video of Thunder Rosa who's in her home, and she starts saying that she spoke with Tony and that she's going to have a match with Britt Baker at the beach break. So this was a cluster, guys. So much. I was not a fan of this. I don't know how else to say that. I didn't like it. The only part that I liked, the only part where I went, ha, 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 the only part was when Jade Cargill came in and Britt Baker looks at her and she says, quote, "Do you always wear this to the dental office?" That was it. That was the only moment where I thought, okay, this was kind of funny. But everything else I thought was not good. It was not interesting, guys. I'm sorry. If you like the segment and I just buried it for you, don't hate me. I wasn't feeling it whatsoever. Tanil says, it was fine until Cody came out. Oh, did you not like Cody? I mean, Cody didn't do anything. He didn't say anything. He was just there. He was just there. Shadow Crypt. Maybe this was too harsh. Says Jade Cargill was why it was awful. It's not her. It's just this whole storyline from a start has been confusing. It's been convoluted. It hasn't been doing her much favors, but she looks phenomenal. She looks phenomenal, and she's been getting better and better on the mic from the first time that we saw her do that face-off with Cody to now. I do have to say that she has improved, but it's just the story. The story's not interesting. And Mark Hale says, love Britt, no buys on this segment though. Yeah, Britt Baker, she pulled her end there. She was funny. It was a little long-winded in the beginning, but she had some funny moments, like I just mentioned, the one that she had that was pretty funny. But the rest of it, I mean, it was not that great. And Steve Wrestling Fan says, this was my favorite segment tonight. I thought Britt was hilarious. Steve Wrestling Fan's gonna hate me now. Christian Ramos says, this segment was better on Dark. Cody didn't get a word in it at all. I was disappointed on the Springer level mask. That's what I was trying to think. I was like, what was that show? The Jerry Springer show. I never watched Jerry Springer. I might have seen highlights of it here and there, just randomly flipping the channels, but I never actually sat down and watched a Jerry Springer show. But that's exactly what I was thinking of. Dagon S. Broad says, this was one of the worst segments in Dynamite history. They've been doing the waiting room on Dark the past few weeks, and it's just terrible. Yeah, so the debut on Dynamite, essentially. But this was not good. And Chris Cage 2X says, I would say the waiting room talk show segment isn't the problem. Jade Cargill is. And why was there a Thunder Rosa beatdown segment replay out of nowhere to build a match? It was really rushed. Yeah, so that's exactly what I was saying. I rewatched that, by the way. So I watched this segment twice because I missed the first part into how it went from the Red Velvet Jade Cargill situation into the Thunder Rosa situation. I was like, what did I miss there? So I went back and I rewatched this segment. And I think the one thing that would have made a big difference was just like a quick toss to like, hey, like, let me show you this package of what happens, so and so. I think because it just happened so quickly, it was kind of like, oh, what are we doing here? So that was a little weird. It was the transition from what was happening, on the set to what was happening on the screen wasn't necessarily made clear there. But I did, like I said, I went back and I watched it to make sure that it wasn't my bad. But no, there was no transition there whatsoever. Although I do have to say this, the Thunder Rosa promo was really good. I like the fact that there was a lot of things that she did in there that I liked. The only thing I would say would definitely be like the production on that. And I get it. It's a home video, but I would say up the production on that a little bit because it didn't come across as that presentable. And we've been seeing a lot of home type of videos. So I do think that you can, up the production on that end. And Joseph Boza says, Jade is new to AEW. She was the problem. The fact that it was so obviously needed Britt to be relevant, and they couldn't admit that due to its concerns. That is why Britt versus Rosa is at Beach Break. Okay, Interesting. It doesn't seem like anybody is feeling the Jade situation. Bloody Blue says, apart from Jade's delivery on the mic, that slow talking sounds really out of character. I enjoyed it. The waiting room on AEW Dark has been a bit better, though. Okay. Did someone say, B.A. Charles says, dude, go watch Springer? No, I think there are a million things that I could do with my life that would probably be a lot better than that. I really do think so. Mega Awesome says, Alexa and the Fiend are the best things in wrestling. Oh man, that is a topic for another time. Another time. Bloody Blue says, agree about the transition, caught me a bit off guard, and yes, the production mic noise was not on par with AEW standards. Yeah, and it's important, guys. It really, really is important. Jake Larson says, don't ever say Denise doesn't care about us. She watched that segment twice for us. Thank you, Jake Larson. I did watch that segment twice for you guys because there's always, watching two shows is very difficult. So sometimes I have to go back and I have to rewatch stuff because I don't want to miss anything. Nothing is worse than accidentally missing something and then coming on here, being asked about it, and then being like, oh my God, I missed that. Like, that's embarrassing. So, I did watch that segment twice. No. Hushburger says Jerry Springer is amazing. Yeah, if you like the drama, then why not? Christian Ramos says Caso Cerrado is better. Just saying, Alameo. No, you know what my favorite TV drama is? And you guys, and this, I don't know how many of you guys are going to know this show, but do not laugh at me, but it's definitely Lauda. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Lauda. It's a Hispanic thing, but that show is so much drama, and I will sit there and I will watch it. It doesn't matter if it's on the TV. I will sit there and I will watch it. So Sam B says, 3 feuds in this segment is too much. Dude, was there even 3? I felt like there was a million. There was a million. Shadow Crypt says, was the segment better a second time, Denise? No. It was more clear as to what I missed. And I noticed the transition point and I didn't catch that line that I thought was funny from Britt Baker in the beginning, but I did catch it afterwards. So maybe it was a little bit funnier the second time that I saw it. I don't know. Alrighty, guys. Okay, some people do know Lauda. Oh my gosh, Kevin. He knows me. He's got it. I wonder how many people on this replay are going to be like, did she really just say Lauda? Like, what is her issue? I don't know. Guys, it was a crazy segment. It's led to crazy topics. Let's move on. After this, we got Jurassic Express versus FTR. This was okay. It was okay match. I thought that it didn't necessarily hit the kind of peak of the level of the match that I personally would have been like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. For what it was okay. There was nothing about it that blew me away. But I will have to say this though. I want to see more Jurassic Express, please. Just give me more because I love watching Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt work together. I mean, they are so much fun to watch. It's enjoyable as hell to see them work together. So I want to see more Jurassic Express. We did see FTR win, but that was pretty much about it. Oh, heck no. Crusty. I speak Spanish. I know exactly what this comment says here, and I'm going to call you out on it. So this is what Krusty is saying. He says nobody cares about the opinion of a woman and for me to go to the kitchen. So Krusty, my good friend, you're wrong. In the nicest way possible, you're wrong, okay? You're watching wrestling, which has a lot of women's wrestling. So now you have to listen, or not have to, but you should be open-minded into listening to a woman's opinion and a woman's perspective, okay? And don't even classify it as a woman's thing, because when I'm on here, you don't just see a woman, you see a fan, somebody that's knowledgeable, somebody that's been watching wrestling for like almost my entire life, like 19 years, I think I've been watching wrestling. I've been watching wrestling longer than some men. So nobody, if you tell me in English or you tell me in Spanish that a woman's opinion does not matter and to go to the kitchen, you're wrong. And secondly, I don't even know how to cook. And you want to know why? Because I'm too busy working, okay? So, buddy, fuera. All right, sorry guys. I get a lot of comments about, being a woman. So I do like to shut those things down before they get worse. So sorry about that. I don't block people on here. I really try not to block people on here because whatever. So, all right, guys, where am I at? God, I had 2 haters today, guys. 2 haters. What is going on? Y'all are throwing me off the loop here. Someone's laughing though that they tried to using it in Spanish, but it didn't work. No, I speak fluent Spanish and I read fluent Spanish. I can't write in Spanish though, but I can read in Spanish and talk in Spanish. So yeah. Patrick De La Pena says, I don't understand the hate for women in this community. Y'all are weird. It's not just wrestling, guys. I mean, there are so many people that, there are so many people in sports too. Like a lot of the women that are in sports, it's a thing, guys. It's unfortunately, it's a thing. V.A. Charles says, wait, you're a woman? Ew. Ew, right? Disgusting. All right, guys, let's move on from this topic. Y'all, where was I at? Oh man, we're heading into a women's match. Perfect timing. All right, so we had Ty Conti versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship, and we did have Serena Deeb win this match. So I saw on Twitter, I posted a tweet basically asking people, hey, if you watched AEW or if you watched NXT or if you watched both shows, whatever, what were some of the highlights? What were the things that stood out most to you? I had a lot of comments about a lot of people putting over this match here. For me, I thought it was an okay match. I thought it was fine. I do have to say though that Ty Conti, I want to see her as champion one day. I want to see her as AEW Women's Champion one day because she has so much potential and she has such a good look. I think that she's getting better and better the times that I have seen her. I thought she has been improving, but I was actually kind of taken aback by the fact that a lot of people were really pushing over the fact that they liked this match. So, honestly, I thought this was it was okay. And, okay, I think we have a couple of more comments here. Okay, let's read this one from Shadow Crypt. He says, Serena and Ty were great together. Yeah, they really did, honestly. I thought that, especially Ty, I think that she really did, she did a phenomenal job there. I really do think so. Christian Ramos says, I love Ty Conti. She's been a favorite of mine since Mae Young. I want to see her be a star. Yeah, I think so too. All right, guys, let's move on because we do have a lot more to talk about. And let's talk about this next match. So again, I mentioned that tweet of highlights from both shows. To me, besides the John Silver moment, this to me was one of the best highlights for AEW here today. And it was Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. So I loved this match. I loved it. I didn't like the finish that much. I thought the finish could have been a lot stronger. I thought the finish was a little bit weak and it was rushed, but I did love this match. The reason why I loved it was because I loved what it did for Brian Cage. Brian Cage came out here and you look at somebody like Brian Cage and you think, God, like, look at that man. Like, look at the way that he's built. He looks incredible, right? Nobody looks like that. And then you see him get into the ring and then you see him be so agile. And you're like, how the hell does a man that looks like that move like that? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? So you're wondering, okay, hold on. Pause this. Pause. I have a super chat from somebody. Thank you so much to Shadow Crip. He says, can we talk about Darby for a moment? I saw Darby's leg get caught on the top rope. When Darby caught him, Darby would have crashed on his neck. I didn't catch that. So thank you for mentioning to me. I will go back and rewatch that portion. But let's talk about Darby also, obviously, in this match. Thank you so much to Shadow Crypt for sending in a super chat. I very much appreciate it. Okay. So back to, so in regards to this match, they really, really did a job, I think, of putting Brian Cage in looking like a monster, okay? So I said, not only does he look the part, he's agile as hell, but now, this time we saw more of a violent side of him. We saw him literally pick up Darby over his head perfectly and toss him. He tossed him like he was the size of a child, like he was a rag doll. onto a table, and that spot looks so sick. And Darby was busted open after that. So I liked everything that they did here. There was a lot of things that really just made Brian Cage look like a killing machine, look like a monster. And this is the first time that I think that they've really made Brian Cage look that way on AEW. I think it's even one of my favorite, or maybe one of my favorite matches that we've seen from Brian Cage here on AEW. I thought it was good. Again, the only thing that I didn't like was the ending. So for those of you, so the finish, we did kind of get like a clunky looking crucifix from Darby to Brian Cage after Sting came out and essentially taps Starks on the shoulder, because Starks was trying to distract Darby, taps him on the shoulder, and he just smacks him. That was pretty hilarious. But the finish, again, it was weak, it was rushed, and I believe now, correct me if I'm wrong, for those of you guys here with stats, but Cage is now 0-2 in championship matches, which isn't that great, but nonetheless, though, Brian Cage looked like a killer. The only thing that I would have fixed up was really that ending. So let's see what you guys all thought about here, because we are getting several comments about this. So Sam B says, Darby selling is so impressive that you sometimes wonder if he's actually injured. Dude, that guy is crazy. So yeah, he's crazy. And I worked on a couple of shows with Darby Allin, actually quite a few. So last year, for about like a year and a half, I worked with Suburban Fight. I don't know how many of you guys know about Suburban Fight, but Suburban Fight basically is a promotion and a wrestling promotion that has basically no ring, no rules. That's the whole thing. They fight in bars. So you go out there and there's no ring. They fight wherever. And so Darby worked so many of their shows. And guys, I saw him do some crazy, and I mean some crazy things in person, because I was the ring announcer for those shows in person. And it was just like balls crazy, like when you think about it, because you go to this venue, you see the venue, and you think, well, how much can you possibly do? Because these guys get really creative. And then he comes out, he has these matches, and I'm just thinking, you came up with this? Like, you had these crazy ideas, and this is what you came up with? And it was awesome to see. I mean, it was scary, because you're there in person. It gets a little scary, but nonetheless, it was fantastic. So I do have to go ahead and mention that, because when I see Darby on AEW Dynamite, those are the shows that like always bring me back, like where I remember all of this stuff. We have a comment from R. Riggs who says, Allin versus Cage was really good. Cage looked like a monster, and Allin liked the severe underdog, and Sting finally did something. I like how you added at the end, and Sting finally did something. Matt's Waffle says, I love the match. Cage impresses me more and more, but hated the finish. The Darby push feels very forced, and the save with Sting was way too predictable. So the Sting save was predictable. I do not think that the Darby push his push feels forced. I don't think that. I do think, though, that they missed an opportunity for Darby to get, some of his momentum back in this match, because this match was obviously very much dominated by Brian Cage, and the way that he won this match didn't necessarily make him look like that big of a champion. It sort of, lessened him as a champion, which wasn't that great. Again, we've said this, the finish was not good, but in terms of everything else, I did like everything else. And alrighty, let's see. And I'm going to go through the rest of your comments here. Oh, we have another super chat. Thank you so much to Christian Ramos. By the way, guys, if you want to get a comment in and you're like, Denise is not seeing my comment, feel free to send in a super chat. F4W does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds after YouTube takes its cut. And YouTube takes a good cut. They take a cut of my money. All right, Christian Ramos says, who does Darby face at Beach Break in your opinion? That is a good one. I wouldn't mind seeing this match with Brian Cage again. Would that be too nuts? I don't know. I kind of want to see it. Maybe even Ricky Starks. I think Ricky Starks, that dude has so much charisma. Holy moly. I made a joke too on Twitter that Ricky Starks' shoes are fancier than anything I own. If you guys did not notice Ricky Starks' shoes, go back and look at his shoes. Those are some fancy ass shoes. But Kristen Ramos, thank you so much for sending in the Forsaken Production says 51 minutes in and still on AEW. Denise needs a timekeeper. You're right. I need a timekeeper. Somebody please volunteer to be my timekeeper. If you guys can be my timekeeper for next time, I will very much appreciate it. although it's a non-paying job. I won't pay the timekeeper, guys. All right. There we go, guys. That was AEW for all of you there. And oh no. Guys, what is up with these comments? Jeff Guy, those comments are not appreciated here, guys. I'm really sorry. And yes, I am a feminist. For those of you guys wondering, I am a feminist. I'm going to have to put you in timeout. And I don't like to put people in timeout, but I'm going to have to. So Dagon S. Broad says, thank you so much for the super chat, Dagon. He says, will beach break take place at an actual beach? I don't know. You guys are asking me questions. I don't know. So God, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And Shadow Crib volunteers to be my timekeeper. Thank you so much. Rig says everything about Ricky is fancier than what I own. Oh, let's just be like the non-fancy people. All right, guys. BTW, before we move into NXT, I do want to let you guys know that on my channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, and you can find the link in the description box below. On there, I do have 2 new interviews, guys. 2 new interviews that I'm very, very excited to share with you guys. So I spoke with Fandango, who you guys saw today. And so we talked about the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and I really liked my interview with Fandango because he really talked about, Breezango's run in the, main roster versus what they're doing now on NXT. So definitely go ahead and check that out. That was a really good interview. And I feel like the fact that we spoke about what this match sort of meant to him and meant to, Breezango, and the fact that they're showing this different side of themselves, I think that really came through and made me even enjoy the match that much more. So feel free to check out that interview with Fandango. Also, earlier on in this podcast, we did mention that Hard to Kill is taking place January 16th. Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill. And you guys can actually check out my interview on my channel with Deonna Purrazzo. So Deonna Purrazzo is going head-to-head against Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts Championship. And I got to talk to Deonna. Deonna told me how she prepares for Hard to Kill physically, mentally, how she prepares for an opponent like Taya Valkyrie. So go ahead and check those interviews out, guys. It really means a lot to me. I try to get as many interviews as I possibly can. So if you guys go in there, give it a like, just a comment, anything, it really helps that engagement. And the more engagement that I get, companies like Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, they'll be like, you know what, Denise is getting good engagements. Let's give her some more interviews. And that's obviously what we want to get to. So if you haven't yet, head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Check those out. And then also, please do not forget to obviously follow F4W as well. So please go ahead and do that too. Alrighty, let's move on to NXT. All right, here we go. So they started off with Shotzi Blackheart versus Candice LeRae. So this one for me, I thought it was a fine opening match, but they didn't go as hard as some of their other matches that they have done in the past. I thought that some of their other matches have been a lot better, but overall, this was perfectly fine. In the end, Blackheart was distracted by Indy Hartwell, which we already knew that was going to happen, and that's how eventually Candice LeRae got the win. She did a swinging neck breaker from the top rope to Shotzi Blackheart and ended up winning the match. So I do think, though, that they need to give Shotzi Blackheart some more wins. I don't necessarily think that she's been getting enough wins. I don't know if maybe you guys are thinking something differently, but I do think that they need to give Shotzi a little bit more there because Candice LeRae has been winning left and right, and I don't necessarily feel we've been getting that for Shotzi. Alrighty. And after this, okay, so speaking of highlights, we talked about the highlights for AEW. The highlight for me for NXT was definitely that Finn Balor promo. I loved the Finn Balor promo today, guys. So Finn Balor comes out and he gives Kyle O'Reilly credit for stepping up, from the match that they had last week. Says that, he's been great. He's been stepping up, but that he is not on Finn's level. He also says that he wears the red X on his chest because he knows that he's the target. Oh, this was so badass, guys. He had so many good one-liners during this promo where you're like, that is exactly how a champion talks. He's not afraid to be the target. He's not afraid to say that nobody else is on his level. And he also talks about the fact that they stopped manufacturing the cloth that he's cut from and tells someone to step up. Afterwards, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch comes out. Pete Dunne, who by the way has the best RBF RBF of all time. Pete Dunne comes out and says that basically tells Finn Balor that he's been the poster boy long enough, but that he's not waiting anymore and that he, wants to get that belt from him. I love this. I love this Pete Dunne. I love this, this feels big deal to me. Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, and, everything that he was doing with Kyle O'Reilly, all of that feels like big deal stuff to me. So I am loving all of this. Let's get some comments here because we're getting quite a few about Shotzi here. And so we have one from, let's see, Hushburger, who says Shotzi is losing her steam. Yeah, I think so too. Going into, she picked up, she was the host of Halloween Havoc. That was great for her. She won the match to get the advantage going into War Games, but then lost War Games. So I feel like she hasn't necessarily, they give her a lot, but then nothing actually keeps building up though. Yeah. All right, Dagon says that Balor cuts a hell of a promo. Hell yeah. Danny also agrees, saying Finn Balor is amazing. Completely agree. And Danny also adds that Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne will be so good. Dude, it will be. And Hushburger also says Balor reminded me of a top guy of Eddie Company. Dude, hell yeah. That's what I'm telling you. He felt like such a big deal. And this whole storyline that they're telling feels like a hell of a big deal. And that's what's really coming across and, just coming across as something very enjoyable. And after this, we had the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Ever-Rise in round 1 of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I saw a lot of people, they liked this match. Personally, for me, I thought that it was fine. I didn't think it was anything memorable, but I don't think I'm that big of a fan of Grizzled Young Veterans and Ever-Rise. So I think that's on me. Personally, I was like, eh. But you guys probably feel differently about this one. So go ahead and let me know. Moving on, then we also had a match with Dexter Lumis versus Johnny Gargano. And I didn't like this one either. So I think the issue with this one here is that I think the shorter the Dexter Lumis matches are, the better. I didn't really feel that he could go the length that they did today with Johnny Gargano. And so I wasn't feeling this match. I didn't think that they did anything that was very exciting for me. So I wasn't in on this one. Gargano won, but I do think that he should have gotten a clean win here because he doesn't need Austin Theory to help beat Dexter Lumis. Lumis is sort of slotted at a certain level, and Johnny Gargano is at a whole other level. And so whether or not he's a heel, it doesn't matter. He's your champion. Shouldn't be losing. He shouldn't be not getting a clean win. So other than that, I do have to say that the post-match stuff with him and Kushida was straight fire because that is the match that we all want to see. And we know that it is going to be hella good. All righty. Okay, see, Hushburger says he loved the Grizzled Young Veterans. So good. Yeah, see, I think for me, I'm just not there. I'm not there. They need to give me a little bit more, guys. A little bit more. And a lot of you guys are talking about the Rascals debut. We are going to get into that right now, actually. We had Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott versus MSK, which is the Rascals. And this was their debut, guys, in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And so, first of all, I have to say that Jake Atlas, once again, he always does good in all of his matches. We already know that. But let's talk about MSK. How did you guys feel about their debut? Personally, I'll kick it off. So I thought that, when I was watching this match, I really felt that they had a lot of really good moments in this match. They really, really did. Commentary did a good job too at putting them over, telling people these guys are they're a big deal. We're excited to have them. We're excited for them to be here. And I like the fact that they did that. And I thought that they, even though I feel that other tag teams that we have seen have had stronger first debuts, I didn't think this one was bad whatsoever. They were perfectly fine. It was good. They did a good job. So how did you guys all, and also here's the thing too. I do now that they're moving on to the second round, I feel, and obviously we know this because moving on to the second round means we're going to get to see them do a whole lot more. And I'm very excited to see what they do here with MSK, but overall, good stuff for them. Really good showcase for them as well. But you know what, though? Really good showcase for them, honestly. Joseph Boza says, I wasn't a fan of this match either. He's talking about the Dexter Lumis match. He says, this win sort of makes Gargano look weak. It feels like the way is the only way, get it. They will keep Johnny and Candice in NXT. Feels like they don't are you saying they don't fit in on an NXT anymore? Or I'm a little confused on the last sentence. I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay, we have a comment from Zane Miller who says, Guy, I love the Rascals. One of my favorite Impact teams. I have high hopes. Dude, yeah, I think that they're going to go. D-Train Ryanmaker wants to know if there's a chance that they're going to go all the way. I don't know if MSK is going to go all the way. I think that, hey, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it with a team that, if you want to give them a lot of momentum coming into the company, might as well, but it kind of depends on the direction that they want to go there. And wow, oh my gosh, thank you so much to Michael Mathis who sent in a super chat. Thank you so much, Michael. He says, guys brought over from UK have really helped the show. Keep smashing this. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you tuning in here and anybody who ever tunes into any of my shows. I very, very much appreciate it. I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. I'm like so thankful to be part of the F4W team because it really, really validated a lot of things for me in my career. So I really appreciate any time that I get to be on here. Jamie Miles, thank you so much for the super chat, Jamie. Jamie says, I asked you about the Tony heel turn a couple months ago, and now her debut and heel turn feel meh. Amber's return has also disappointed. They both feel like a jag to me. Just another girl. Do you agree? I agree in the sense that I don't think that Tony has necessarily gotten to that level yet that we think she's going to be at. I think right now the focus is too much on it's too much on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, and I have zero interest in that. So I would prefer to see more of Tony. I think, and same thing with Ember's return. She came in hot. She had a couple of wins, and then, obviously they had Ember, was part of, so basically what I'm trying to say here is that they could have taken advantage more of that momentum with their return. And I don't necessarily think that they did that. But Jamie, thank you so much for sending in a super chat. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Brandon Charles Powell says, I'm hoping Kushida wins the bout from Gargano. I like the Gargano comedy, but it's too much and it lessens the value of the title. See, I like Johnny Gargano in the sense that he's that heel that just pisses you off and gets under your skin. That's fine. I'm just not a fan of the way, and I've said this a couple of times on the show. And alrighty, let's go ahead and move on. So after this, we had, they did announce that the women's tag team classic is going to kick off next week. They already announced Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Cardo versus Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. So that's happening starting next week. I do want to mention that I love the package with Scarlett Bordeaux, where she was doing the the tarot card readings. I liked that. That was such a good mood, such a good vibe. I love this. I kind of want to see more of that. So I hope that they do more of this. Xia Li had a squash match. Whatever. There's not much to say there other than her entrance was pretty cool. And let's get into the main event, guys. So Breezango versus Undisputed Era, Cole Strong. So again, I mentioned earlier my interview with Fandango. And the reason, I think the fact that I got to talk to him and kind of get the, he was talking a lot about the evolution of Breezango. Breezango has, been known as that comedy, that funny team, and they haven't necessarily been taken seriously, especially when they were on the main roster. They didn't get taken seriously, but since they went to NXT, we saw them become tag team champions last year, and now we're starting to get a different side of Breezango. So part of me kind of wanted to see them go, maybe not even all the way, but I wanted to see them go a little longer. But the fact that they were going up against the Undisputed Era, I kind of figured that wasn't going to happen. But it was pretty interesting just to kind of see the fact that Fandango really went into the fact that they wanted to show the fans, they wanted to show the WWE universe, the fact that they could really go at it in the ring, that they can compete, with the top talents on NXT. And I do think that, going into this match, they really did that. I liked this main event. I thought this main event was perfectly fine. I liked the match. And again, I was happy to see Breezango in a match like this. I was very, very excited for them. Afterwards, so the ending, before we get to the ending of the match, we did have Kyle O'Reilly get attacked by Pete Dunne. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, but then Finn Balor comes out to help them. But as they start brawling outside, this ends up distracting Adam Cole. So for a second, I thought, oh my gosh, what if this leads to Undisputed Era's elimination? But it doesn't. In the end, we did have Undisputed Era win. So overall, it was a pretty good main event. Decent show, but I do have to say that the highlight for me of NXT was definitely that Finn Balor promo, and I do love the direction that they're heading with this all. So we do have a comment from, let's see. I'm going to read a couple of you guys here. So we have, and by the way, get in your last comments, guys, because we were almost closing out the show. So I'm going to try to check out a couple more comments before we go. And Michael Mathis says, am I crazy to think Alice and Swerve outshined MSK? No, I don't think so, because I think that especially Jake Atlas, I thought that he was one of the ones that really, he came in with a whole level of aggression and intensity into this match. And that's why I think that the MSK debut was good, but it could have been a lot stronger. And I think the reason for that is they didn't necessarily steal all the attention, because I do think that Atlas and Swerve had that attention. And clearly you thought the same thing. So I agree. And K-Town Shutdown says, Ember should go back to Raw and be the first female Hurt Business recruit. I will say this. Raw needs a lot of NXT talent. They need new talent on there. They need to spice it up, guys. Spice it up. Joseph Boza says, I love the package too. I think they are rebuilding Cross and Scarlett before they put the NXT Championship on Cross. And Zane Miller says, this was a real killer match. Just great chemistry between all four men. Can't ask for better. Elliot Fletcher says, it's going to be interesting to see Balor kind of teaming up with the Undisputed Era. Yeah, I think so too. I was thinking the exact same thing, actually. Really thinking the exact same thing. And Tanil says, just a general comment. I wish more people would stick around for the entire show and not just leave when the AEW talk is over. I haven't seen NXT, but still sticking around. Yeah, you know, it's kind of expected. And I talked to other podcasters and they kind of tell me the same thing. When it comes, they do see a dip when they start going into NXT. I believe Luke even told me that Wrestle Talk dropped the NXT show because they just weren't getting the numbers for it, which is unfortunate because I have said this plenty of times. NXT has been putting on several, really good shows. So I do think that it would be nice if, people gave them a shot. But hey, people can watch whatever they want. If they don't want to watch NXT, then so be it. You don't got to watch NXT. It just really depends on what you want to watch. We also have a comment from D-Train Riot Maker. Thank you so much. D-Train's always putting me over, man. D-Train says, Denise, in the great show. Always have my support. She's a very hard worker. Watches 2 shows at once, which is very hard. And taking notes and tweeting. All right, so D-Train said that, but I said it on my own. Thank you so much for D-Train. We have a comment from Jam Barcelona. He says, I continue to like what NXT is doing with Dexter Lumis, utilizing his art skills. Cool, too. Yeah, so Jim, honestly, I like the fact that they are incorporating the fact that Dexter Lumis really does know how to draw like that. And those drawings were pretty funny today. I do agree with you in that. In terms of the character, there's been times where I'm like, okay, we need to get something more from Dexter Lumis, because at one point he was starting to feel too one-dimensional. But I think now they're starting to add a little bit something more to him, like, just like making him the host, little things like that. And they kind of, even just adding the art thing, even that added something to him. So there you go. Lev says, how can you watch WWE sauce NXT programming with those horrific camera cuts? It gives me motion sickness. I think I'm used to it. There's times where I notice it, and then there's times where it just feels normal to me. And anything else here? All right, I think we kind of got all the rest of the comments that I wanted to get in before we wrap up this show. But guys, seriously, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Episode 16 of Speak Now Pro Wrestling with myself, Denise Salcedo. I will be back next week at the exact same time for episode 17, and I'm so excited about it. I don't know why, but I'm always excited about it. Please give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online if you haven't already. Please make sure to do so. And hit me up on Twitter or on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. I'm almost at 14K on Twitter. So hopefully you guys go ahead and follow me on there. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys so much. Love you all. Take care. Have a happy Wednesday. Bye.